The First Age, the War against Morgoth. War of the Jewels. Overall conflict of the First. The entire First Age was shaped by the Silmarils, three perfect radiant jewels crafted by Fëanor, the greatest elven smith. When Morgoth, the first Dark Lord and the mightiest of the Ainur, stole them and fled to Middle-earth, Fëanor and his son swore a terrible oath to reclaim the Silmarils at any cost. This oath shattered families, drove the Noldor into exile, and ignited a cycle of endless bloodshed. This wasn't a single war. It was an age-long conflict between the Free Peoples and Morgoth. Elves, men, and dwarves were drawn into this bitter campaign, but the war was never truly about victory. It was about obsession, betrayal, and doom. Dagor Nuin Gileath. The Battle Under Stars. The first true battle of the First Age, fought even before the sun and moon rose. When Fëanor led his people across the sea to Middle-earth, they landed in the shadow of Morgoth's stronghold, Angband. Almost immediately, his vanguard was attacked by orcs. The Noldor crushed Morgoth's forces, slaughtering wave after wave of orcs, but their triumph was short-lived. Fëanor, blinded by vengeance, pressed too far and was surrounded by Balrogs. Despite killing several, he was mortally wounded by Gothmog, Lord of the Balrogs. His death marked the beginning of the slow unraveling of the Noldor hopes. Dagor Aglareb, the Glorious Battle. Years later, the Noldor, now more organized under Fingolfin, launched an offensive. It was a rare moment of unity among the elves. They broke Morgoth's forces and laid siege to Angband. The battle was so decisive that for nearly 400 years afterward, the elves maintained a tight watch on Morgoth, the Siege of Angband. This period, known as the Long Peace, was filled with cautious optimism. Great realms like Gondolin, Nargothrond, and Doriath flourished during this time, but Morgoth was not idle. In his depths, he bred horrors in secret. Dagor Bragolach, the Battle of Sudden Flame. That peace shattered in fire. Morgoth unleashed rivers of flame from Angband, incinerating the northern lands of Argalin. Glaurung, the first of the fire drakes, led the charge, a creature of both malice and cunning. Fortresses fell. The siege collapsed. Fingolfin, in a moment of desperate glory, rode alone to the gates of Angband and challenged Morgoth himself. The duel was legendary. Fingolfin wounded Morgoth 7 times before being crushed. Even Morgoth limped forever after. But the war turned. The Noldor lost ground, allies died, and the shadows grew deeper across Beleriand. Nirnaeth Arnoediad, the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. The final hope of the Free Peoples came in a grand alliance of elves, Edain, men loyal to the elves, and dwarves. It was carefully planned, secretly coordinated, but Morgoth outwitted them. Through betrayal by the Easterlings aligned with him, he sprang a trap. What began as a bold strike turned into a massacre. Fingon, High King of the Noldor, was slain. Húrin of Dor-lómin fought with such fury that he killed 70 trolls before being captured alive. Morgoth cursed him and his entire bloodline, starting the tragic saga of Turin Turambar. The name of the battle was given by the elves, Nirnaeth Arnoediad, Tears Unnumbered. It was a total, soul-crushing defeat. The Fall of Gondolin. Gondolin, the hidden city of the Noldorine elves, became a symbol of hope and resistance against Morgoth. Despite its secrecy, Morgoth discovered its location through betrayal, Megalin. He launched a sudden assault with Balrogs, dragons, and orcs, leading the city's utter destruction. The survivors, including Tuor, Idril, and their son Arendil, played crucial roles in later events. The Fall of Gondolin stands as one of the most tragic and heroic episodes of the First Age. The Sack of Doriath. Another major tragedy was the downfall of Doriath, the realm of Thingol and Melian. Doriath fell first to dwarvish greed over the Naglamir and Silmaril, and later to the sons of Fëanor in their mad pursuit of the Silmaril. The sacking of Doriath marks the catastrophic dissolution of one of the last havens of elven power in Beleriand. further underscoring the endless cycle of sorrow sparked by the Oath of Fëanor. The War of Wrath. At last, the Valar, the angelic powers of Arda, could no longer watch. Led by Eowyn, the herald of Manwë, they sent the host of the West, the force of elves, Maiar, and men, to confront Morgoth directly. This was no skirmish. It was cosmic warfare. Dragons flew, Balrogs raged, the entire armies were swept aside, and Calagon the Black, the greatest dragon to ever live, was slain by Elendil in the skies. His fall crushed entire mountains. Morgoth was defeated and chained, but the price was cataclysmic. Beleriand, the heart of elven civilization, was drowned beneath the sea. A Pyrrhic victory that ended the First Age but left Middle-earth forever changed. The Second Age, the rise of Sauron. War of the Elves and Sauron. After Morgoth's defeat, a deceptive calm settled over Middle-earth, but in the shadows, his lieutenant endured, Sauron. Once a servant of Aule, and now a master of deceit, rose to power in disguise, calling himself Anatar, Lord of Gifts. He seduced the elven smiths of Eregion, especially Celebrimbor, the grandson of Fëanor. Together they forged the Rings of Power, but in secret, Sauron created the One Ring to control them all. When Celebrimbor realized the betrayal, he refused to submit. Sauron declared war. The elves fought valiantly. Eregion, their jeweled city, was besieged and destroyed. Celebrimbor was captured, tortured, and killed, his body strung on a banner like a trophy. The dwarves of Khazad-dûm shut their doors and saved many elves, but the war was devastating. This war marked the first time Sauron openly wielded the One Ring, and Middle-earth began to tremble under his will. The turmoil in Númenor and the fall of Númenor. The Second Age was marked by the rise of Númenor, a mighty island kingdom of men. In its twilight years, Númenor was manipulated by Sauron, who corrupted its last king, Ar-Pharazôn. The king led a doomed invasion to Valinor, attempting to claim immortality. As punishment, Eru Ilúvatar, the creator, reshaped the world. Númenor was drowned, and the Blessed Realm was removed from the mortal world. This catastrophe paved the way for the survivors who founded the realms of Arnor and Gondor in Middle-earth, and for Sauron's resurgence. The War of Last Alliance. After centuries of Sauron's growing power, and the slow corruption of men, the free peoples reached their breaking point. Númenor, the island kingdom of men blessed by the Valar, had once been mighty and noble, but Sauron, through manipulation and lies, corrupted their last king, Ar-Pharazôn. In arrogance, Ar-Pharazôn invaded Valinor himself, a forbidden act. The world was reshaped, Númenor was sunk beneath the sea, and only a handful of faithful Númenorians escaped. Among them, Elendil and his sons, Isildur and Anarion. They founded Gondor and Arnor, and with the High Elves, they formed the Last Alliance. Led by Elendil and Gil-galad, this alliance marched on Mordor in one of the greatest mobilizations in Middle-earth's history. The siege of Barad-dûr lasted for years. Countless lives were lost. Gil-galad and Elendil were slain in the final battle. But then, Isildur cut the One Ring from Sauron's hand. Sauron was defeated, but not destroyed. His spirit endured, and Isildur, blinded by pride, refused to destroy the ring. The seeds of the Third Age's doom were already sown. The Third Age, Sauron's return, and the final war. The Angmar War. After the fall of Arnor, the northern kingdom of men, evil stirred again, this time under a new name, the Witch King of Angmar. He was Sauron's greatest servant, and his goal was singular, the destruction of Dúnedain in the north. From the fortress of Carndûm, he waged a brutal war of attrition. One by one, the three successor realms of Arnor, Arthedain, Cardolan, and Rhudaur, fell. Cities like Fornost were reduced to rubble. The northern line of kings was shattered. Though the elves and the Gondorians eventually drove the Witch King out, the damage was done. Arnor was gone. The North remained leaderless and broken for generations. War of the Dwarves and Orcs. This wasn't a war of territory. It was a war for vengeance. It began when Azog, a powerful orc chieftain, brutally killed King Thror of the Longbeards at Moria and branded his name into the dwarf's severed head. That one act ignited a blood feud that would consume the Misty Mountains. For years, the dwarves fought their way through orc-led strongholds, leaving behind only carnage. It culminated in the Battle of Azanulbizar, fought before the gates of Moria. The dwarves won, but at horrific cost. The ground was so thick with bodies, they could not even bury their dead. And yet, they did not reclaim Moria. Too many had died, and Durin's Bane, a Balrog, still haunted its halls. The Kinstrife, Gondor's civil war. Not all wars in Middle-earth were fought against orcs. Some were brother against brother. In Gondor, tensions between the pure-blooded Númenorians and those of mixed descent erupted into civil war. The rightful king, Eldacar, was driven out. His usurper, Castamir the Cruel, took the throne, and earned his name by slaughtering nobles, looting cities, and executing Eldacar's son. Eldacar returned years later and reclaimed the throne, but the damage endured. Gondor's unity was fractured, its strength diminished, and Sauron, watching from the east, took note. War of the Ring. The final war of the Third Age was fought not just with swords and armies, but with secrecy, willpower, and fate. Sauron had returned, now as the Ayatollah Barad-dûr. His armies, orcs, Easterlings, Haradrim, trolls, poured out of Mordor. Gondor stood as the last great stronghold of men, and it was crumbling. Minas Tirith was besieged. Rohan answered the call. The Pelennor fields became a graveyard for thousands. The Witch King was slain by Éowyn and Merry, fulfilling a prophecy even he couldn't foresee. But even in victory, it was a distraction. Frodo and Sam crept through Mordor, enduring starvation, torment, and the pull of the ring. At Mount Doom, Frodo failed, but Gollum didn't. In his madness, he bit off Frodo's finger and fell into the fire, destroying the ring. Sauron's power collapsed, his armies broke, his spirit fled into the void. Middle-earth was saved not by strength, but by pity and resilience. And though the wars have ended, their scars still shape Middle-earth. If you want to understand how these battles forged the weapons, heroes, and legends of the age, watch our next video, Every Weapon in Middle-earth Explained. It reveals the blades, bows, and dark relics that changed the course of history.